astounded by my ability to ruin everything. Losing friends and starting fires, everyone thinks I'm a liar. I always stay at home, cause I'm not good in public. I sit here on my phone, I'm always disappointed. I watch them live their lives, I wish that I were happy. Victim of my generation, time machines cannot erase it. Who am I supposed to be? When will I be complete? When will they be proud of me? It's getting harder to see. Set my rest, bloody fist, questioning why I exist. Pain persists, evil gifts, fucking up my life to shit. I'm worthless, I'm worthless, I'm worthless. Set my rest until I bleed out.
Guys, naniniwala ka kayo sa sabi ng psychology na if a person loves too much, even though in the smallest thing, they are the lonely ones. Kasi ako, oo. Bakit kanyo? Kasi ganito yan. Diba tayo, hindi natin madidistinguish ngayon kung sino yung malulungkot, diba? Kasi napakagagaling nilang magtago ng feelings nila. Sa umaga ang saya-saya nila, pero sa gabi nagbe-breakdown sila. Kasi meron silang tinatawag na mental health issues. Pagdating sa mental health issues, dyan papasok yung anxiety, depression, and stress na nararanasan ng bawat isa sa atin. Hindi naman ng bawat isa sa atin, pero ng karamihan. And now, para mas mapagbigyan pansin natin yung mga taong nakakaranas ng mental health issue, we need to know what psychology is. Psychology is a scientific study of mental process and a human behavior. It aims to describe, analyze, predict, control human behavior in general. Self is an essential construct in psychology because it fulfills the goals of the discipline in studying human and the reason for their action. Many psychologists try to define the origin of mental health process and behavior, but they all settle down with numerous theories and assumptions. The following description on the formation of self represented for you to have a clear picture on the psychological perspective of self. Self-concept is the cognitive structure that includes belief about personality traits, physical characteristics, abilities, values, goals, and rules, as well as the knowledge that an individual exists as an individual. According to the psychologist Dr. Bruce A. Bracken in 1992, there are 6 specific domains that are related to self-concept. The first one, the social domain of the ability to interact with others. Second, the competence domain or the ability to meet the basic needs. Third, the affect domain or the awareness of the emotional states. Fourth, the physical domain or the feelings about looks, health, physical condition, and overall appearance. Fifth, academic domain or the success or failure in the school. And lastly, family domain or how well one function within the family unit. Kaya lagi nating tandaan, understand everyone's emotion but prioritize yours. Maraming salamat at hanggang sa muli.
Who is William James? He is a founder of functionalism, also became more influential and brought the publication of the Principles of Psychology in 1890. Ways of approaching the self, the knower, the pure or I self. It must be the agent of experience. It reflects what people or perceive themselves doing the physical work. Example, recognizing that one is walking, eating. The no self, me self, more subjective and psychological phenomenon referring to individuals' reflection about themselves. Example, characterizing oneself as athletic, smart, and cooperation. Me self have 3 different but interrelated aspects of empirical self, also known as self-concept. Me view as material, social and spiritual in nature. Material self consists of everything an individual call uniquely as their own, such as body, family, home, or style of dress. Social self recognition an individual get from other people. Spiritual self individual inner or subjective being.
Hi! Dahil nakita mo ang video ito, panoorin mo upang magkaroon ka ng kalaman kay Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers is best known as the founder of client-centered therapy and considered as one of the prominent humanistic or existential theories in personality. Carl therapy aims to make the person achieve balance between their self-concept or the real self and ideal self. So, what is real self and ideal self according to Carl Rogers? The real self includes all those aspects of one's identity that are perceived in awareness. The things that are known to oneself, like the attributes that an individual possesses, information and perception that person has about himself. Your real self is who actually you are, while ideal self is defined as one's view of self as one wishes to be. The ideal self is an idealized version of yourself created out of what you have learned from your life experience, the demands of society, and what you admire in your role model. Your ideal self is the person you want to be. This picture is an example of real self. Kung halimbawa, kapag tumingin ka sa salamin, makikita mo kung ano talaga yung pagkatao mo at kung sino ka talaga. This picture is an example of ideal self kung saan kapag tumingin ka sa salamin, ang nakikita mo ay kung ano yung gusto mong maging sa sarili mo.
Hi, are you aware of the multiple selves and the unified self? So, starting with the multiple selves, the theory with regard to this is that there are different aspects of the self that exist in an individual. With this reason, it simply pertains to the different personalities of an individual that he or she presents to different situation. But this personalities only arises only when the situation calls for them. So it is more of an act of defense mechanism. This theory of multiple selves is supported by a licensed professional psychologist and also professor, Mr. Professor Greg Hendricks, who proposed a tripartite model of human consciousness consisting of the three domains. The first one is the experiential self, that from the word itself is more in the experiences of an individual. It is associated with the memory of a person as they uses the human senses on a particular situation, as long as the person is conscious. But the moment that the person enters deep sleep, the self disappears and only comes back when they wake up. Next is the private self, which is the portion of the self that verbally narrates what is happening and tries to make sense of what is going on. Is the existence of an inner voice inside our heads that tells or narrates a particular event in front of us. So it is like discussing with ourselves through the mind until we get to understand the entire situation we are in. Lastly is the public self, or what Professor Greg Henricks refers as the persona. It is the domain of self that an individual shows to the public, and this interacts on how others see an individual. It is not in contrast with the previous one, which is the private self, because as a person interacts with others, the currents of communication within ourselves also takes place. So it is about being conscious between our social interaction with others and within ourselves at the same time. Moving on to the unified self. Unified self pertains to the adjustments a person could take wherein they are able to accept and understand the outcomes of their experiences, may it be success or not. So, the unified self is only developed when an individual is flexible enough, inside and out, to survive the challenges that is thrown to them.
Kilala niyo ba si Donald Winnicott? Donald Winnicott was a pediatrician in London who studied psychoanalysis with Melanie Klein, a renowned personality theorist and one of the pioneers in object relations and development of personality in childhood. So, kay Donald Winnicott nagmula yung true versus false self. According to him, false self is an alternative personality used to protect an individual's true identity or one's ability to hide the real self. Ito yung tinatawag natin na ego. So, the false self is activated to maintain social relationship as anticipation of the demands of others. Compliance with the external rules of following societal norms is a good example of this. False self can be a healthy self if it is perceived as functional for the person and for the society, and being compliant without the feeling of betrayal of true self. On the other hand, unhealthy false self happens when an individual feels forced compliance in any situation. An example of the false self is the separation, the blame, the resentment, the pride, the jealousy, the anger, and coldness, and etc. Next, on the contrary, true self has a sense of integrity and connected wholeness that is rooted in early infancy. The baby creates experiences of a sense of reality and sense of a life worth living. Winnicott claimed that true self can be achieved by good parenting that is not necessarily a perfect parenting. So, ang true self sa madaling salita po, yun po yung tinatawag natin na soul. True self are the soul. An example of this po ay mga unity, friendliness, forgiveness, love, happiness, peace, and wisdom.
You are worth it. Sabi nga ni Albert Ventura, lahat tayo'y may sariling kakayanan. Wait, papakilala ko sa inyo. Si Albert Ventura ay isang psychologist and professor sa Stanford University. He proposed the social cognitive theory. Aside from that, according to him, the self are proactive and agentic. He believes that behavior modification is possible. According to him, the social cognitive theory na ang mga tao ay isang agents or originators of experience. Di lang tayo basta nag-react sa experience, but we are the originator of the experience. Paano niya nasabi yon? Sabi niya, as human, may kakayanan tayo to act and make things happen. And to support his claim, he proposed a per-agentic perspective. Number 1, intentionally. Enable us to behave with purpose. Lahat ng ginagawa natin ay may dahilan. Example, nag-aaral ka ngayon gabi kasi alam mo, may exam bukas. Another, nag-wave ka sa crush mo. Sasabihin mo na pindot lang pero ang dahilan mo, gusto mong magparamdam. Number 2, per thought. allow us to anticipate outcomes. Hindi dahil manghula tayo pero we can anticipate the outcomes. Example, nakita mo yung langit na madilim, makulimlim, meaning magdadala ka ng payong kasi alam mong uulan. Number 3, self-reactiveness. We can react to certain situation and be motivated to regulate our action. Example, nagda-diet ka, nag-exercise ka kasi alam mo sa sarili mo na tumataba ka na. Number 4, self-reflectiveness. We can reflect our thoughts and behaviors and make needed modification. We are capable of reacting the actions. Okay lang ba ginagawa ko? Tama ba yung ginagawa ko? Halimbawa, nagtatawanan kayo tapos yung kaibigan mo nahampas mo habang natawa ka tapos naisip mo, tama ba yung ginawa ko? Ang mangyayari nun, magsasorry ka. We are capable of reacting the action na tama ba yung ginawa ko, mali ba yung ginawa ko. Binigyan din ni Ventura na importante ang social learning o learning through observation o yung paniniwala natin sa ating kakayanan. Meron din tayong 4 na steps in observation learning and modeling process. Number 1, attention. Number 2, retention. Number 3, motor reproduction. Number 4, motivation. Naging malinaw na ba lahat sa'yo? Sabi ng Albert Ventura, maniwala tayo sa ating kakayanan.
Hi guys! Today, samahan niyo po ako na mag-ayos dahil aalis po kami ngayon ng aming family. So, alam nyo guys, since we are talking about the self according to psychology, and psychology states that it is the study of the human mind and its behavior. Since we are in the midst of this pandemic and online class, many of us are stressed, many of us are drained because of the projects, the tasks, and also kasabay pa nun yung mga tasks natin sa bahay na minsan hindi na natin nagagawa. And it frustrates us because some of us don't know how to rest na. So today, I just want you to know that it's okay or not to be okay. It's just not okay that we will stay that way. You must always remember that you have a reason to live and your future is brighter than your past. So get up because the best is still yet to come. It's okay to breathe. It's okay to rest. Sabi nga ni Les Brown sa quote niya, sabi niya, give yourself a break. Stop beating yourself up. Everyone makes mistakes, has setbacks and failures. You don't come with a book on how to get it right all the time. You will fail sometimes, not because you plan to, but simply because you're human. Failure is a part of creating a great life. So here's a reminder for all of you guys that we are doing well. You're not behind. You're not also ahead. You're exactly where you need to be. Proverbs 3 verse 5 to 6. Trust in the Lord with all of your hearts and do not lean on your own understanding. Acknowledge Him in all of your ways and He will direct your paths. From Jeremiah chapter 29 verse 11, for I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future. That's it guys. Keep fighting.
You have to believe in yourself. You have to believe in your ability. You are capable of anything. You can achieve any dream. Please don't limit yourself. Don't live your life limited. It's not all sadness and misery. Life's a challenge, but you will succeed. Take control of how you feel in every circumstance. Work on yourself daily. Your story's far from done. The best is yet to come. To achieve, you must believe. You can live out all your dreams. Persevere.